given to his people instructions and protocols as to how to approach him at his temple. But his temple does not stand in our day, at least not yet. So what do these instructions say to us? Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 2 of a second week of Acharei Mot. And let's continue with a verse that we read yesterday, the last line, Vayikra, Leviticus chapter 16, where it says in verse 13, "And he shall put incense on the fire before Yahweh, and the cloud of incense shall cover the lid of atonement, which is on the witness." And then again, this phrase that we didn't really touch yesterday, lest he die. Approaching the Ark of the Covenant is very, very serious business. Yah gives strict instructions that it's not to be touched, it's not to be gawked at, it's not to be peered into. So before the Levites, who were of the house of Kohath, could come in and pick up the poles that were in the rings on the side of the ark, the Kohanim, the priestly family of Aaron, would go in and cover it with the tapestry. Then they could come and pick up the poles and thus carry the ark. They were trained from an early age, those that would be so designated, so that they would know you never, under any circumstances, for any reason, put your hand out to try to touch the ark for any desire, any thought, any inclination that would come to mind. Do not do it. So there are protocols and there are senses of understandings about how the ark is to be carried and treated. The ark is that which signifies then the immediate manifested presence of the Most High Elohim. It has not always been treated as such. And so we have the tent of meeting and the Ark of the Covenant that has gone on an interesting journey since the days of the wilderness. When they came into the land and began to inherit the land, the ark was situated in the tent first at a place called Gilgal. Then it was moved and placed in the Mishkan, the tabernacle of the wilderness, at a place called Shiloh, where it was located for 369 years. I've been to Shiloh, and there are pottery shards all over the ground there. It's a very heartbreaking place when you realize Yah's presence dwelt in the land of Ephraim at Shiloh for this extended period of time, 369 years, yet through the sins of the priestly family, it was moved, and tragically so. It was there at Shiloh during the days, up until the days of Eli, if you will, the high priest, his 2 sons, Pinchas and Eleazar. His sons were wicked. In the first book of Samuel, you will find that Yah is very, very upset and angry at the sins of these 2 men, their lewd behavior at the tabernacle, and their total disregard for the things that are set apart, and for especially the fact that their father Eli did not correct them, admonish them, reprove them, or rebuke them. Rather, he turned a blind eye and literally became blind, and it was not a good thing. War breaks out with the Philistines, as it often did, and they thought it best to win the war by bringing the Ark of the Covenant onto the battlefield. The 2 sons of Eli were then killed on the battlefield. Pinchas and Eleazar died, and the Philistines unthinkably captured the ark. The ark then journeyed from the battlefield of Even Haezer to Ashdod, to Gath, and then to Ekron. and then back finally near the battlefield to a place called Beth Shemesh. The people, for whatever possessing of mind thought it wise, looked into the ark and they were instantly killed. It was then moved to Kiryat Yearim at Avinadab's home, where it rested for 20 years. David seeks to bring the ark back to Jerusalem. He wants it in the capital city. In that process, the Philistines have sent it out, and it is being carried on a cart, an ox cart. This is the way the pagans moved their idols. Yah's ark was designed to be carried by his servants. David employs the ox cart methodology. The oxen stumble, the cart lurches, and Uzzah, a member of the house of Kohath, you know the story, reaches his hand out to steady the ark, and instantly he dies. He transgresses the presence of Yah. This is deadly business. And so we find then that the ark is placed at a place called Obed-Edom's home for 3 months. Favor rains down on Obed-Edom's home, and David does things right. He brings forth the Levites who are designed and called by name to carry it. They offer sacrifices. He dances, he celebrates, and the ark comes into to Jerusalem. Finally, it's Shelomo, David's son, who builds the incredible temple, the first temple, where the Ark of the Covenant was housed, up until the time that the Babylonians began to destroy the city. And then various theories, stories, evidences suggest how and what happened to the ark. The most popular of which I've heard is that the prophet Yirmiyahu or Jeremiah made sure that the ark was lowered through a vault in the floor and hidden in a subterranean area where it is supposed to remain until this day. So with that information in mind, let's go to the book of Yochanan, John chapter 4, where the woman at the well comes to Yeshua and says, our fathers, and this is in verse 20, our father worshipped on this mountain, Mount Gerizim, but you people say that Yerushalayim is the place where one needs to worship. Yeshua said to her, Woman, believe me, the hour is coming when you shall neither worship on this mountain nor in Jerusalem worship the Father. You worship what you do not know. We worship what we know, because the deliverance is of the Jews, or the Yehudim. But the hour is coming, and now is, when true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and truth, for the Father also does seek such to worship him. So, if we break this down a little bit and understand the history of the people of this woman belonged to, she comes from a time where there was a rift between the house of David and the remaining portions of Israel. And 10 of the 12 tribes says, to your tents, O Israel, we have nothing to do with the house of David any longer. This is in his grandson's days. And so there has been this divide and this angst against Jerusalem. This woman says, we've been worshiping here on Mount Gerizim, the Mount of Blessing. We like where the blessing's at. We don't want to go down to Jerusalem where you have to follow all the rituals and the protocols and give honor to the house of David. Yeshua says that there is such a thing as true worshipers. Is he implying then that there are false worshipers? There's a question to ponder. Then he says, it's not about the city, it's about the heart and the mind and the being of the person. Yah is looking for those who will worship him spiritually, for he is a spirit, and also truthfully and honestly with integrity. Mechanics are important. Rituals are important, especially as approaching the Ark of the Covenant. But it must begin with the truthful, honest, sincere, spiritual nature of the heart. We'll take this up tomorrow, and until then, shalom.